Hello dear students, myself Dr. Sachin Gurule, Assistant Professor from Department of Zoology, KTHM College, Nasik. In the previous video, belongs to subject Animal Diversity 4. We are learning the chapter number 2, that is Introduction to Class Aves. And in the lecture number 4, we have already learned the types of beak modification in the birds. Now in this video, we are going to learn the types of feet and their modification found among the birds. So as you know that birds are highly evolved vertebrate organisms which are capable of the flight, and the enormous diversification in the bird has made them successful with the high adaptive capabilities. Now this diversification in the food and feeding habit, it also leads them to develop various kinds of the modification in their feet, and the feet are not only useful for the purpose of locomotion, but that feet is useful for the different kinds of the function. And to compensate the absence of the forelimbs, the hind limbs in case of the bird shows the modification not only for the bipedal locomotion but also for the various vital tasks which are necessary for that particular birds. The feet of the birds are also modified variously in accordance with their habit and habitat, their surrounding environment, and the mode of location. And accordingly, the different kinds of the modification is seen into the hind limbs of the birds, and these are differentiated into the different types. So these are the few types of the feet which is found commonly among the birds. The cursorial are the running feet. This cursorial or running feet is a characteristic of the upterus, or one can say the flightless birds, and the leg is quite heavily built. Then perching feet is a characteristic of the birds which are leads the arboreal habit. Then is useful for perching the twig of the plant. Then scratching feet is a characteristic feature of the birds like a hen which is useful for scratching the earth. Then raptorial feet. The raptorial feet is the peculiarity of the carnivorous birds like vultures, which can be useful for grasping their prey with the great speed. The next one is a wading feet. Wading feet is a characteristics of the birds like a jacana who lives into the marshy places, and in that marshy places these legs are useful for walking on the aquatic vegetation. Then swimming kind of the feet is a characteristics of the birds which are aquatic in nature, and that swimming feet is useful for the purpose of swimming. Again they can be classified into the two, the swimming and the paddling type, and the swimming and the diving kind of the feet. Then climbing feet. Now climbing feet again is a characteristic feature of the birds like a parrot, hoops, and the woodpecker, which can be useful for the climbing on the plants or whatever substratum is there. Sometimes that climbing feet and the clinging feet, they are also useful for clinging the wall also. So in this way, the various kinds of the modification you will found among the hind feet of the birds, which are commonly known as the feet modification. So we are going to learn all these feet modification into the birds one by one. So let's start with the first type, that is cursorial, or so called as a running feet. Now in case of the running birds, the legs are quite powerful. So here in the diagram you can see the legs are quite powerful, and the number of toes present on that legs are much reduced. Some of the birds which are showing the cursorial feet, they are provided with only 2 toes, while some of the birds like a cassowary, they are provided with a 3 toes. So generally if you see the feet of the birds, they are generally provided with a 4 feet or 4 digits Okay, but here instead of 4 toe, there are only either 2 or 3 toes can be found into the running feet. Then the hind toe may be elevated, reduced, or even absent. Then the bustards, coursers, and ratities such as the emu, rhea, and cassowary, they are short toe birds having only 3 toes. Okay, so here in this diagram you can see the 3 toes are present and all these 3 toes are directed forwards. But in case of the ostrich, you will find only the presence of 2 toes. 2 toes are reduced and of which the outer toe is a smaller one as compared to the inner one, and this outer toe is often not provided with the nail. So this kind of the things you will find on the feet of the cursorial type, and this kind of the feet is a characteristic feature of the birds belongs to the ratity, and the examples of the cursorial leg is ostrich where you will find only 2 toes, and second example you can take the cassowary which is provided with a 3 toes. So this is about cursorial or the running feet. The next one is a perching feet. Now perching feet is a most common type of the feet which is found among the many of the birds or the majority of the birds, and the birds which are provided with the perching kind of the feet, they are referred as the perching birds, or they are also known as a passers. Okay, for example, the perching kind of the feet is found into the birds like a sparrow, crow, bulbul, then quail, myna, robins, and many more birds. Okay, so these are just a few examples where you will find the perching kind of the feet. What exactly the perching kind of the feet? In this type of feet, there are 4 movable toes are there. So here in the diagram you can see there are total 4 toes are there, and all these 4 toes are the movable one, of which the 3 toes are the slender and lies in front of the foot, while the hind feet, this hind toe is also referred as the hallux. This hallux is comparatively the longer than that of the other toes. It is strong and is provided with a sharply clawed, and this toe is opposable to the first 3 toes. Now this kind of the arrangement of the toes into the feet is useful for perching the twig of the plant, and because of opposable toe which is known as a hallux, this bird can easily fasten the foot to the branch of the tree very easily, and hence is referred as the perching kind of the feet. So here in the diagram we can see the sparrow which is sitting on the twig. So here you can see the 3 toes are in a forward direction, and the longer hallux which are provided with a comparatively large nail or the claw, it is located or it is opposable to that of the first 3 toes. Now such a kind of the arrangement is also found into the bulbul, and these toes they are useful for the perching the twig. So this is about the perching feet, which is the most general kind of the feet found into the birds. The next one is a scratching feet. Now scratching feet are found into the birds like a fowl, then quill, pleasant, etc. Now those birds which are scratching the earth for searching the larvae of the insects or their food grains which are present into the earth. The feet are stout and are provided with a strongly clawed toe, as well as they are adapted for the purpose of running and scratching the earth. The second and third and fourth toe, they are directed forward, while the first toe is directed backwards. The foot of the male bird is usually provided with a pointed bony spur for offense and defense and for trading the female. So there is the sexual dimorphic character you will found among the male birds. They are provided with such a bony spur on the leg. So here in the diagram you can see the bony spur. So this bony spur is useful for offense and defense and for trading the females is only present among the males and are absent in the female. So this kind of the scratching feet is a characteristic of the rooster or the hen, then pleasant and the queen. The next one is the raptorial feet. Now the raptorial feet, they are found in the predatory carnivorous birds such as a hawk, kite, eagle, owl and the vultures. So all these are the carnivorous birds which are useful, which are feeding on the flesh and the smaller animals, and for catching that their prey they are provided with the raptorial feet which is useful for grasping their prey. Now in this type of feet all the four toes are large, then hallux is strongly developed. So here you can see the hallux is strongly developed among the all the toes. Then claws are large, they are quite strong, sharp and often they are curved. The under surface of the toes possesses a large fleshy bulb. Now this fleshy bulb are referred as a talary. So here you can see the feet of the owl where you will find the fleshy bulb at the ventral surface of the feet which is known as a talary. These are developed in case of the hawk, but in case of the birds like a osprey and the ketupa, this talary or the fleshy lobes are absent, but it can be replaced by the horny spines like structure which are present at the ventral surface of the feet, and these kind of the horny spines are helping these birds to gripping a slippery prey such as a fish, because the birds like a osprey and the ketupa, they are the predators of the fishes. They fly over the water bodies and they capture the fish with the help of their feet, and we know that the fish is quite slippery due to the presence of mucus on their body, and to avoid a slipping of the fish from the grip, from the feet, and providing the additional grip, these birds they are provided with a horny spine like structure from the below side or the ventral side. So here in the diagram you can see the horny spines also there. So this is about the raptorial feet, which is the peculiarity of the carnivorous bird. The next one is a wading feet. Now wading type of the feet is found into the birds which are living into the marshy places such as the heron, then jacana, lapwing, snips, etc. So all these are the birds which are living into the marshy places or where too much water body and the aquatic vegetation is there. Now in this type of the feet, the toes are slender and exceptionally long. So here in all the cases if you see, the length of the leg is also very long. Not only the legs are longer, but if you see the length of the toe, each toe, here in the diagram you can see the toes are greatly elongated and they are exceptionally long, but the waves are absent or feebly developed. As the waves are absent, so this kind of the feet are not at all useful for the purpose of swimming. So they are only useful for walking on the vegetations of the aquatic habitat. So here you can see and the leaf of the lotus is there. So such a kind of the birds which are provided with a wading feet, they can easily walk on the leaves of the lotus which are floating on the water. So the peculiarity is the long feet Not only feet is long, but the toes are also elongated. The feet are modified for walking over the aquatic vegetation or the marshes, and the example is the heron, jacana and lapwing. So this is about the wading feet. The next one is a swimming feet. Now in the swimming bird, feet are modified either in a two ways: swimming and diving type and swimming and paddling type. So in the swimming and diving type, the birds are usually dive into the water for searching the food material, while in the swimming and paddling type, the birds are just swim at the surface of water. So let's see one by one, first of all, the swimming and the diving type of feet. Now in the swimming and diving feet, the toes are partially or the completely webbed. So here you can see the foot of the coot and the grape. Here you can see the partial or the complete developed webs you will found on the toes of the hind feet. Now these type of feet are found into the coots and the grapes. So this is a coot bird and this one is a grape. So in this bird, the web is a lobate one on the under surface of the toes, which are free. So here you can see the under surface of the toes, they are provided with a web which are provided with a some sort of the lobe. So such a kind of the web is referred as the lobate web. In case of the grape, the each toe is a paddle like and bordered on either side by a fleshy lobe of the integument. So here you can see on the digit or on the toe of the grape, the from either side they are provided with a paddle like broader fleshy lobes of the integument. The nails are flat in case of the grape. So here you can see the nails are flat and slightly curved in case of the coot. So here in the coot you can see the nails are quite curved. So this type of the feet are modified for the swimming and diving into the water. So these birds not only swims but they also capable of diving into the water in search of the food material, that is the fishes and the other things. Okay, the next one is a swimming and paddling type. Now swimming and paddling type of the feet are found into the birds such as the cormorant, duck, then teals, pelicans, etc. or the aquatic birds, they are provided with a swimming and paddling type of feet. So here all the toes are generally webbed, but in certain cases only three toes are webbed. For example, if you see the feet of the duck, only the three toes, toe number second, third and fourth, which are going to form the web, while hallux is separated. Now here in case of the swimming and paddling feet, the toes are webbed. In cormorant and the pelicans, all the four toes, so here in the diagram you can see all the four toes are connected with one another by the tough web all along their length, and the web is complete one. So here you can see the feet of the cormorant. So these are the four digits. So this one is a hallux, then digit number second, third and fourth. So all these toes, they are interconnected with the help of the fleshy webs. But in case of the duck and teals, the first toe is always separated. First toe is also referred as a hallux. It is comparatively small and it is generally free, while the anterior three toes, they are completely webbed. Now such a kind of the developed web is useful for the paddling the water during the swimming, and hence this kind of the feet is referred as swimming and paddling type of feet. Okay, so this is about swimming and paddling type of feet. The next one is a climbing feet. Now climbing feet is found into the birds like a parrot, hoops, woodpecker, and these kind of the feet are useful for the grasping the organ and specially adapted for the climbing on the vertical surfaces. Particularly, if you see the woodpecker, so here the woodpecker, they are always climb on the vertical surface, that is the branch, while they are preparing the nest with the help of their chiseling beak. The feet are zygodactylous. Now, what exactly the zygodactylous? In the zygodactylous, the second and third toe, so this is the second and third toe, they are directed in a forward, while the first and the fourth toe is directed backwards. Means two toes are in a forward direction and two toes are in a backward direction. So here in the diagram you can see, the in case of the parrot, the toe number 1 and 4, they are backwardly directed, while toe number 2 and 3 are the directed in a forward direction. So this kind of the feet is referred as the zygodactylous condition, and this zygodactylous condition is very important for the purpose of climbing. As if you see the parrot, they are feeding on the fruits, and obviously the fruits, they are generally arises on the very terminal and the delicate branches of the twig, and at that time, so that parrot can easily climb to that terminal branch which bearing a feet, and they can able to approach towards the feet. And among the woodpecker, the feet is useful for clinging or climbing the vertical twigs, so that they can prepare the nest with the help of their chiseling beak, and they can also search the larvae which is hide under the stems. And at that time, these birds, they are sitting literally on the vertical branches of the twig, and for that purpose such a kind of the climbing feet is very important. So this is about the climbing kind of the feet. Then the last one is the clinging kind of the feet. Now clinging kind of the feet is found into the birds like a martinets, then the birds like a swifts, then kingfisher and the hummingbird. Okay, so in case of this clinging kind of the feet, whatever four toes are there, all these four toes are directed in a forward direction, and they are provided with a long, sharp, and it is curved claw. The foot is modified for the purpose of clinging on the trees or any vertical surface while the feeding. So particularly if you see the legs of that swifts can able to climb on the walls also, and for that purpose here you can see the all the four toes, they are directed in a forward direction and then provided with a highly pointed and comparatively longer claws. So this kind of the modification with their toes and the feet is useful for clinging the any substratum which is the having a vertical surface. So in case of the kingfisher, the hallux, that is the first toe, is separated or it is at the back, but if you see the three toes, they are completely directed in a forward direction and they are provided with the nails or the claws which are again sharp and the curved one. So this kind of the feet is useful for the clinging on the vertical surfaces for the at the time of particularly feeding. So this is about the different kinds of the feet which is found into the birds. So I hope all of you understand the what is meant by feet and how the hind feet in case of the birds, they are modified for the different purposes. In the next lecture we are going to complete the chapter in which we are going to learn the migration in birds. So thank you very much.